And we've heard the first whistle. It's kickoff time. So the 35th Africa Cup of Nations has kicked off in Morocco, and it's already had its fair share of drama, from last-minute heroics, superstars turning up or not turning up, and we've already had a goal of the tournament nominee literally in the first game. And we've also had some last-minute drama that has absolutely wrecked some teams and has absolutely given hope to some teams. It's been quite the tournament already, and we're only 2 games deep, or 2 days deep. Hi, I'm the Football Otaku, and welcome to the first episode of Total AFCON Daily, your daily wrap of everything Africa Cup of Nations going on in Morocco right now. I know that I've been running a few polls on certain platforms, and it was very, very tight on whether I should do daily updates or I should do per match day updates. So I decided to just risk it all for the free ball and go full on daily with match reactions every single day at the end of a day's play at the Africa Cup of Nations. Of course, if you guys are loving the content, don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe, and involve yourself in the comments and in the conversation. But that is for then. Now let's talk about now, starting with, so the tournament kicked off in the nation's capital, Rabat, in the now national Prince Moulay Stadium, and I mean, it was a great opening ceremony. I mean, I could say that, but I didn't really watch the opening ceremony because it actually cut out on TV quite a few times, and I just gave up. Also, it was great to see the Crown Prince, Abdul Moulay, actually giving the ceremonial kickoff and rousing the crowd up and giving the tournament the ceremonial royal touch that it deserved. But in this match, we saw the good and the bad of Morocco. The good was that they actually have individual talent. These guys can actually play. The bad is they're not very innovative. They're a side that lacks that killer punch, and against the Comores team, that is a bit of a concern. I mean, it was a pretty nightmarish first 10 minutes. They were given the first penalty of the tournament, a very soft challenge on Brahim Diaz in the box, and the Atlas Lions would have the first penalty. Sofiane Brahimi had the chance to score the first goal of the tournament, but Yannick Pandor guessed right and would keep the penalty out. Things wouldn't get any better when Romain Saiss, the captain, would pull up with an injury in the 20th minute, and it was the worst kind of injury sequence anyone could hope for. He's first treated on the pitch, he then tries to continue, and then 4 minutes later he's down and says, "Nope, I can't continue," and he has to be substituted. Now, a news report just coming out has confirmed the worst, that his injury will rule him out for the rest of the tournament. And that is already a massive blow. Compound that with Achraf Hakimi's suspect fitness. I mean, he did say he was ready and that he was fit, but Regragui insisted that Hakimi start on the bench against the Comores. So having your best player and now your captain, your hard man in defense, your leader of men, now also out is a big blow for Morocco heading into this tournament. And you could tell by the first half that Morocco were a team that really couldn't break or struggled to break down this Comores defense. I mean, Comores did sit back and try to catch Morocco on transition, which they did on quite a few times. They're just not able to capitalize. But the fact that Morocco really at times struggled against this Comores defense was a bit of a concern. And heading into halftime, the atmosphere, the riled up pomp and ceremony of the atmosphere of the opening game had really been gone, and now the atmosphere really didn't look nice at halftime. I mean, 0-0 against one of the minnows of the competition is not really a good look. Morocco, though, would come out in the second half and would finally give the crowd the lift it so badly needed by scoring the first goal of the tournament. A well-worked move from the right flank. Mazraoui would cross in, and for Brahim Diaz, Brahim the Dream, to slot past and to finally give Morocco that opening goal of the Africa Cup of Nations, the opening goal of the 35th Africa Cup of Nations. And it wasn't just a cheer of celebration, but a cheer of relief, a cheer of, phew, finally. It was a cheer of massive relief, and at that point, the game started to open up. Comores were a little bit more adventurous. They had chances of their own, really were pretty good on catching Morocco at the break, but Morocco were also able to pick Comores off and were able to really hopefully stamp the game off. Then we would see the moment of brilliance as a ball lobbed into the area would find Ayoub El-Kabi, and he would score a fantastic bicycle kick for 2-0. I mean, he's had a reputation for this. I didn't even know until he scores this wonderful bicycle kick. How, if you thought the first goal really opened the tournament, this one absolutely cracked it open. I mean, we have a goal of the tournament nominee, and it's only game one on day one. Absolutely fantastic goal, and really was the bright spark in what was a pretty average Morocco performance. Full time, Morocco win 2-0, but it's not really a great performance at all. I mean, credit to the Comores, they did as well as they could, but they were never really going to. They did have their chances, but it was always going to be difficult for them to get one over the Atlas lines, especially on a day like the opening day. But for Morocco, this wasn't very good, not at all, and this now raises question marks. I mean, now they've got their captain out. Hakimi, though, is on the mend and could be back in time for their second game against Mali, but it's not a very good performance, not a very inspiring performance, and they'll have to up their game because the tournament now only ever gets harder. It's only gonna get more and more difficult, and they're only gonna have to improve if they even hope to get deep in this competition. Game 2 of the group and the tournament took us to Morocco's second city, the football hub of Casablanca, as Mali took on Zambia, and it would be the Eagles who would be the superior side, especially in the first half. They had a lot more of the ball, a lot more territory, and really for most of the half had Zambia pinned back into their own half. The likes of Sigayoko, Nene Delorges was part of the running as well, and really at some point Zambia looked very pegged back and very pinned back, and at times were camping in front of their own penalty area with not a lot of go forward. Mali's hard work would be rewarded just before the break when they were given a penalty. It was a penalty that wasn't originally given, but until VAR intervention, it was found that Nene Delorges had actually been clipped in his Achilles, and the referee had no choice but to point to the spot. Thinking Nene would take the penalty, instead it went to Al Bilal Toure, and just as the previous night, the goalkeepers went 2 for 2. Al Bilal Toure's penalty was saved by the Zambian goalkeeper, and it would still remain 0-0 heading into the break. I mean, it also helps for the Zambian goalkeeper that his coach just so happens to be Nations Cup winner in 2012 and CAF Champions League winner in 2016, and Mamelodi Sundowns legend and penalty expert Kennedy Mwene. He's not just an expert at saving penalties, he's also an expert at scoring them as well, so it does help when that is your goalkeeper coach. So heading to the half, it was 0-0, but eventually Mali's pressure would tell and they'll be rewarded with the opening goal. It was a ball lobbed into the area, a ball that never wasn't really dealt with multiple times by the Zambian defense, and essentially the ball would fall to Sigayoko, who would eventually slot it past the goalkeeper for 1-0. The goal had been coming. I mean, there was only ever one direct traffic of play, and that was Mali on the attack, and it was always going to be very, very difficult for Zambia to implement themselves into the game. So eventually Mali would get the opening goal and would be rewarded with the opening goal. But Mali also don't take their chances. They created a lot of opportunities, especially even after they went 1-0 up. They created a lot of opportunities, but weren't able to take any of them. And eventually they would be punished by football's version of Murphy's Law. If you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished. And they got punished in the cruelest way possible. Zambia had started coming onto their own in the second half. Near about the last 10 minutes was when they started to create opportunities, and eventually they'd be rewarded with a long ball into the area, and Patson Daka positioned himself wonderfully between two Malian defenders, have a glancing header. It would go beyond the goalkeeper for a surprise equalizer. He also tries to channel his inner Chris Katongo, but that doesn't really pay off. Thankfully, he's okay, and I hope that he will be able to start the next game. But it's a crucial point for the Copper Bullets, and it's 2 lost for Mali. And now, heading into the final game, into the second game, it now ends 1-1. And now heading into the second game, the dynamics change. For Zambia, now they have a great opportunity of finally getting that first win since winning the Cup of Nations itself in 2012. And that win against the Comores will definitely see them with a very good chance of progressing to the last 16. While for Mali, what would have been 3 points and comfortably in the driver's seat now seems very, very different. They've got a point now. They'll have to win one of their next 2 games, but their next match is against the host nation, and if they don't win that, then heading to the last game against Comores, they could find themselves in a very desperate situation to progress. So it's crazy how one moment can change the trajectory of an entire competition for 2 sides, especially this early. So like I said, in the next games, Mali will face Morocco, the host nation, while we will have yet another COSAFA derby as Zambia take on Comores. Group B got underway in Marrakesh as the previous tournament's 3rd place team, South Africa, took on COSAFA rivals Angola. And this was arguably the best game of the tournament so far in terms of competition, and definitely even in terms of seesaw and generally in terms of entertainment value. So South Africa begin this match as I'm not going to say as heavy favorites, but they definitely start this match as on top. They start creating opportunities, and they really started pinning Angola back. They used a lot of the territory and possession to play their style of football, and eventually Bafana would get the first goal, but they wouldn't necessarily get it they wouldn't necessarily get that first goal in very auspicious fashion. The ball would be played into the area. It's a ball intended for Lyle Foster, but instead of Foster catching the ball or getting the ball is then taken over by Osman Apollos. He's surrounded by 3 Angolan defenders. He then scuffs the shot, but somehow goes through the bodies and past the Angolan keeper and skittles in for 1-0. And you could say it's a goal we thoroughly deserved. We had been the better side for the first 20 minutes. We had created a lot more opportunities, and were finally able to stamp that dominance and turn it into goals and to give Bafana a 1-0 advantage. But right after that, from the kickoff, it was all Angola. I mean, literally the first play after the kickoff was Zito Lovumbo in on goal, and him only being stopped by Mbegezile Mbogazi, who put in yet another fantastic shift. I mean, he may not have been as glamorous as some of his other shifts in a Bafana shirt, but he does put on a pretty hefty shift in this game. After that, it's all Angola. Angola start having a lot more of the ball. They start passing it better. Bafana start losing the ball in pretty auspicious places, and eventually Angola starts spamming balls into the penalty area, crosses into the box, which is something South Africans just don't deal with, because we just don't do that in the PSL. I mean, we don't really play balls into the area in the PSL, and you can just tell that that's become a bit of a weakness. I mean, it's even become a weakness for Mamelodi Sundowns. Like I mentioned in the podcast, some of the most memorable, heartbreaking goals Mamelodi Sundowns have conceded in African football have all come from balls lobbed into the penalty area, and that's where the first or Angola's equalizer comes from. It comes from a set piece. The ball is played into the area, and Shaw sticks a leg out and diverts it beyond Wonwin Williams and into the back of the net for 1-1. And again, it's a goal Angola totally deserved. They had been the better side for the 10 minutes leading up to the goal. They had been challenging Williams quite a bit. They had been harassing him, and eventually they would be rewarded with that first goal. That equalizing goal, and they would actually end the half stronger with a lot more opportunities. Williams was getting a lot too busy for South Africa's liking, and eventually they'd go into the break 1-1 on the up and up. Second half, and South Africa reasserts their dominance in the second half. It essentially now becomes a replay of the second half because South Africa then now assert our dominance, and we actually make a change. Tepang Moremi comes in, and you can definitely tell that he's made an impact. I mean, one of his first plays was he got a goal. A ball lobbed into the area, lobbed into Angola's half, played back by Foster. Moremi then takes on the Angolan defender, Tocanero, takes him on, beats him, and then slots past the goalkeeper for 2-1. Till it's not 2-1 anymore, and then he has the goal chalked off for offside thanks to VAR intervention. Now, watching this game, I was a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, I was pretty much encouraged because it meant that we were able to, that the goal showed that we were able to find our way past this Angolan defense. It was there, so we knew our chance to score was always going to be there if we didn't drop our heads, and the boys didn't drop their heads, and Bezile Mbogazi tried his best to essentially break the aluminium in half by smashing a long-range effort off the goalpost, which showed that South Africa really had the momentum. I mean, just watch the shot again and just listen to the noise the ball makes as it hits the goalpost. That is not a normal shot at goal. That is nothing but normal. So there we hit the goalpost. Angola still have their chances of their own. Freddie conducting the Angolan attack and really making his presence known, but eventually South Africa would get the winning goal, and it comes from someone who's been much maligned in the Bafana Bafana setup, Lyle Foster. I mean, he has an earlier opportunity which comes from a break. Moremi catching the ball from a break from an Angolan corner, squared back to Foster, who absolutely skies it. A minute and a half later, South Africa again go down that flank, Moremi's flank. Foster was then able to collect the ball, sit it down for a little bit, take a well-placed shot. It flies past the goalkeeper and into the back of the net for 2-1. For someone who's been much maligned and at times is the, you could say, unfair scapegoat of Bafana Bafana, it was a fantastic goal. It showed the real quality that Lyle Foster had, that on his day he can be one of the top strikers in our country. It's a fantastic goal, and it's really a redemption for Lyle Foster, someone who couldn't participate in the 23 Cup of Nations due to his very personal, you could say personal, but also very public mental health issues, which sadly, very, very sadly, was taken lightly by certain parts of South African football Twitter, which is incredibly narrow-minded, disgusting, and heartbreaking. So to see him come back from that, to be reintegrated back into the Bafana side, and to score now at the Cup of Nations, to have his moment. He's had a quiet game all game long, but to finally have that moment was such a cathartic moment for him. Eventually, though, Bafana would see the game out, and full time, South Africa win 2-1. It's our first victory, our first opening day win at the Cup of Nations since 2004 when we beat Benin in Tunisia, and it sets us up really nicely for the future of the group stage, rather than a couple years ago when we played Mali, lost on opening day, and all of a sudden we're playing survival mode. We're playing on survival mode literally from the get-go. So now we could able to sit back, relax, and watch what goes on in the other game in Agadir. Speaking of Agadir, and wow, I mean, you know, big players. That's what big players do. You know, you may not have the best of games. You don't need to have the best of games, but if you can have the biggest impact, that's all that matters. Egypt took on Zimbabwe, and it went just as much as anyone expected it would. One-way traffic. Egypt dominating the game, creating a lot of opportunities. Imam Ashur would get a start, having just recently came back from injury, and it would be a decision Hossam Hassan would definitely regret, but we're not going to talk about that right now, not so far. Sadly though, the match would start pretty poorly for the Egyptians, as in surprise, Zimbabwe would take the lead. A ball played into the area. Prince Dube would, despite being surrounded by Egyptian players, Egyptian defenders, and El Shenawi, sort of stumbles over, skittles a shot. It goes past El Shenawi and rolls into the back of the net for a shock 1-0 lead for the Warriors. I mean, this was a huge result and a huge potential result. And Egypt at times, despite all of their individual quality and even team quality, at times they really just struggled to break down this defense. And even when they did break down the defense, just could not take the chances presented to them. Things would get even worse as the aforementioned Imam Ashur would have to leave the pitch due to an injury. And judging by his reaction in tears, he might not play the rest of this competition again. And it's really makes me question Hossam Hassan. Yes, he's come back from injury really quickly, but has he come back a little too soon? And for a tournament this intense, it's not. It now looks like a decision that's very much backfired. Especially, I mean, I'd rather have done what they did with Hakimi, where he starts on the bench, but starting him from the start is not a really good decision. But and now it's backfired because now he limps off the pitch. They're 1-0 down, and there goes some part of the creative aspect for Egypt. And at half time, Zimbabwe would lead 1-0, dreaming of an absolutely massive shock at the Cup of Nations. Second half would go on, and again Egypt would struggle to create opportunities or create worthwhile opportunities, but eventually they would get their goal. And it comes down to individual quality. Omar Mamouche, he gets the ball from the left flank, he then marauds forward, beats a few Zimbabwean defenders, and has a rasping shot that Chipezeze just cannot stop into the back of the net. 1-1 thanks to the Manchester City defender, Manchester City attacker, beg your pardon. And this also comes from a huge mistake from Zimbabwe for not taking their chances. Despite waiting out a lot of the Egyptian pressure, they were able to create chances of their own, but were unable to take them and double their lead. And now the lead was gone and Egypt were level. Now you felt there was only ever going to be one winner. Yes, Zimbabwe created chances of their own, but it really looked like it was going to end in a draw. And again, a draw as a result Egypt certainly didn't want. They had to get all three, and who else but Mo Salah to come through and rescue for Egypt. A ball played into the area. Yet again, it's a little bit rusty, it's a little bit ragged at times, but he's able to shimmy out and just fire a shot away into the back of the net for 2-1 in stoppage time. Heartbreaking for the Warriors, who'd gallantly held on for so long, only to have it taken away. And for Mo Salah, who had a pretty quiet game, not very influential, he had been shut down in numbers en masse by the Zimbabwean defense, to be able to have the last and most powerful word in this game, and to finally get a victory over the line for the Pharaohs, and to, for now at the very least, silence the critics. He's not done it yet. Don't pay attention to what everybody on Twitter is saying. He has not truly silenced the critics yet, but he has gone quite a way. He has silenced them for now with an influential goal, which will see the Pharaohs through with 3 points and shared top of the group with South Africa, whom they face next on Boxing Day. While in the other game, we have another COSAFA derby, as both winless Angola and Zimbabwe fight to see who will get first points in the group in this competition. And today, though, on the Africa Cup of Nations sees the start of Groups C and D. It's the first 4-game day at the Cup of Nations. The action starts in Group D as Senegal take on Botswana. In the other game in the group sees Benin face the DR Congo, while in Group C, Nigeria face Tanzania, while the Cranes, Uganda, face Tunisia. That's the end of the wrap. It went much longer than I hoped it would, but that's my first Total AFCON Daily episode in the books. I will hope to upload round about this time during the course of the day. How often, again, I will actually post it to you again. How often would you want some of these wrap videos? Do you want them every day, me covering all the days played at the Cup of Nations, or would you want me to just wrap the group stage match days, match days 1, 2 and 3? Put down in the comments how often would you want some of these wrap videos. Real thanks again to all of the subs, all of my subs, and don't forget to like, to share, subscribe. Thank you for all of the support and for showing out in some of my other works, and I hope we can all enjoy this tournament together. Until then, it's been your boy the Football Otaku. Enjoy the football and never forget, real football always wins. Check in the flip side. Deuces. Bye bye.